My name is Barbara Ann Briggs, and I am a certified teacher of Transcendental Meditation and also the author of 2 books, Pilgrimage on the Path of Love, a novel of visionary fiction which has been hailed as the perfect amalgamation of spiritual awakening and self-discovery. I'm also the author of The Contribution of Maharishi's Vedic Science to Complete Fulfillment in Life. I'm a poet and a freelance journalist with numerous articles published in many different parts of the world. In this podcast, The Essence of Life, we will begin to understand the meaning of what is actually the essence of life and where can we find it. The essence of life is hidden in the silent source of life itself. Would you consider subscribing to this podcast? I actually love producing content for these podcasts. And if you have received any value from my episodes, would you consider subscribing, as there is a cost to produce the podcast in both money and time. There is a subscription link in the podcast show notes. This would be very greatly appreciated. The subject of today's podcast is stress. What is stress and how can we release stress? Is an overload to the system caused by undue pressure of experience. And when I say undue pressure of experience, I mean anything that causes some overload to the system. For instance, if we stay up very late at night and we don't get enough rest during the day, then we will have an overload of fatigue, which will be built up in the physiology. Another overload to the system is if we eat too much at a meal when we're feeling full, but we just continue eating. This can cause an overload to the digestive system, and that would be an undue pressure, which would be built up in the physiology. Another undue pressure of experience is if we were listening to very, very loud music and our eardrums started to throb. That's an undue pressure of experience to the hearing apparatus of our body. Anything that causes an undue pressure of experience causes stress. And when stress is built up, then we need more than just a night's sleep to get rid of the buildup of fatigue or stress in the physiology. The best way to release stress is through rest. When we rest during the night, we release the surface fatigue that we've gained during the day. And that's how we're able to continue to function from day to day. If we were deprived of sleep, if someone kept us awake for 1, 2, or 3 nights in a row, we would not be able to function because we wouldn't have gotten enough rest, and the brain apparatus would be affected very, very detrimentally from the fact of not getting enough sleep at night. So sleep is essential for releasing the stress we gain during the day. But what about the more deeply rooted stresses that are not able to be released through sleep? What is the most effective way of releasing stresses which have been built up in the physiology, maybe for a very long time? This is what we want to focus on now. How do we release deeply rooted stresses that may be interfering with our ability to express the full and free expression of creativity, intelligence, and energy in our physiology and in our day-to-day life? Stress is also the reason why the mind may not be able to focus completely clearly on different aspects of our lives. Because if the mind is clouded by stress in the physiology, then this will also affect the clarity of thought, our decision-making ability. A very effective method of releasing deeply rooted stresses in the physiology is the technique of transcendental meditation. One of the first scientific studies which was done on transcendental meditation verified that the level of rest we gain within the first 10 minutes of meditation is nearly twice as deep as the level of rest we gain after 6 hours of sleep during the night. And this level of rest was measured through oxygen consumption. And it found that the oxygen consumption is so much less during the transcendental meditation technique, and that shows that the whole physiology is resting very, very deeply. Scientific research studies have shown that there's an increased integration of brain functioning through the transcendental meditation technique. There's also increased EEG coherence and increased efficiency of information transfer in the brain. There's an increased muscle relaxation, increased blood flow to the brain. There's faster recovery from stress as a result of practicing the transcendental meditation technique. There's increased stability of the autonomic nervous system. There's also an optimization of brain functioning, and this was measured in terms of creativity, concept learning, um, grade point average, moral reasoning, IQ. Many different aspects of the brain were measured, and they found that as a result of transcendental meditation, there's increased neurological efficiency in the brain. And there have also been studies on the holistic improvement in intellectual performance among secondary school and vocational school students as a result of the regular practice of transcendental meditation. Also, there's improved postgraduate academic performance as a result of the transcendental meditation technique. There's increased self-development, there's increased self-confidence and self-actualization. And this is all because during the technique of transcendental meditation, the mind experiences quieter and quieter levels of the thinking process until it transcends thought completely and experiences the state of pure consciousness or unbounded awareness. The state of pure consciousness is a state of pure bliss. It's a state of infinite orderliness, a state of perfect balance, a state in which we are in harmony with the total potential of natural law. And as a result of regularly practicing the technique, our life becomes more and more in tune with all the laws of nature, and we're able to draw upon the reserves of intelligence, energy, and creativity that are latent at the deeper, quieter, more silent, and more powerful levels of the thinking process. As we may know, psychologists have told us that most people only use 5 to 10% of their full mental potential. And that's because people only use the surface active level of the mind. But when we start to meditate, we begin to fathom the deeper, quieter, more powerful levels of the thinking process. And at the same time as the mind settles down to its quietest level, its simplest state of human awareness, the body gains a very, very deep state of rest. And this state of rest is able to release the deeply rooted stresses that have been sitting there for a very long time and not allowing us to use all our creativity because there were some blockages in the system. And as a result of the regular practice of meditation, transcendental meditation, we begin to release those deeply rooted stresses and get rid of the blockages. And then the system is able to function at its optimal level. And that's why people who practice transcendental meditation achieve much more success, a fulfillment, and happiness in every aspect of their daily lives. If you enjoyed this podcast episode, please consider subscribing to the podcast. A new episode will be uploaded every few weeks. And if you'd like to learn more about my work, you're invited to go to my website, barbaraannbriggs.com. I also have a YouTube channel called Living Wisdom, Barbara Briggs, and you're more than welcome to subscribe to this channel and to enjoy the many, many videos which have been uploaded. I'm so happy to be able to share this podcast episode with you, as I love sharing all my episodes. And until we meet again, I wish you the very, very best and have a very, very happy New Year.